What's your favorite short story of all time? I'll tell you mine. In fact, I'll tell you my top 10. Let me hear yours in the comments section below. Hi, I'm Michael Leverts, and this is Fit to be Read. Hi, I'm Michael Leverts, and today's episode is all about short stories. Short stories are a wonderful way to introduce new readers to reading, new readers to science fiction. I'm going to give you my top 10 science fiction short story reads. The only criteria is that these are my favorites. So I'm going to start with some honorable mentions that didn't quite make the list, but I wanted to make sure that they got on this video. I'm going to mention Johnny Mnemonic by William Gibson, published in 1987. I have to mention Isaac Asimov and the I, Robot stories, especially Runaround and Robbie. Those are two of my favorites. All of the stories that make up the Martian Chronicles by Ray Bradbury. I'm going to specifically point out Desertion, which is one of the short stories in the book City by Clifford Simak, and then also Asimov's 1941 short story, Nightfall. Now for the top 10. I've read several hundreds of science fiction short stories, and these are my top 10. Here we go. Coming in at number 10 for me is one of my favorite authors, Ursula Le Guin, and her short story, The Building. This was written in the 70s. I don't know the exact date, but it can be found in the compilation book Changing Planes that was published in 2003. It is puzzling in the best sort of way. I feel like people who like the book Piranesi will like this book if the immense mysterious structure in Piranesi was what they liked most about the book. The Building is a story about a race of people who begin building as kids for no apparent reason, and as adults spend all of their time quarrying stone and building a large structure that generations continue expanding over thousands of years. Again, for no apparent reason. The story is haunting and does not suffer at all because of excluding any real resolution. Number 9 is a story that I've mentioned on my channel before, and this is The Minority Report by Philip K. Dick. Dick wrote this in 1958. This has been a favorite of mine for a long time. The obvious moral and ethical questions that arise in a world where law enforcement can react to psychological evidence of a future crime is one of the great rabbit holes for sci-fi to send a reader down. I spoke more in depth about this in a compilation book that Dick wrote, and you can find that on my channel. The book is called Minority Report, and I believe Other Classic Short Stories by Philip K. Dick. Really creative title, right? Number 8 is The Comet by W.E.B. Du Bois, written in 1920. This is a powerful story of the events surrounding a comet impacting the Earth and the experience of a black man in New York City. There are strong messages in this very readable story. This is a story of a black man and a rich white woman coming together and how they deal with this crisis. Number 7 is The Regression Test by Wool Talabi, written in 2017. This is an excellent story. It initially evokes Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep vibes, but it is original enough in its approach to not dampen my reception of the story. Talabi is a great storyteller, and in a very few words builds mystery, suspense, and a range of emotions. I'm so excited for this video because there's so many great stories on this list, and I hope that you'll consider reading all of them. Number 6 is Repent, Harlequin, said the TikTok man, by Harlan Ellison, written in 1965. I do believe and have to acknowledge that part of my love for this short is the title, Repent, Harlequin, said the TikTok man. It's a great story about rebellion and an Orwellian imagining of punctuality policing. I remember reading this and a third of the way through feeling 1984 vibes and then receiving some validation of these vibes in the remainder of the story. Check this one out. Number 5 is Speech Sounds by Octavia E. Butler, published in 1995. This story follows a woman, Rye, during a pandemic that affects people's ability to communicate, read, write, talk If you're not turned away by the word pandemic, this is a great one to read before or after Bloodchild to see how dynamic a writer that Butler is, as the two stories are nothing alike. Number 4 is A Sound of Thunder by Ray Bradbury, written in 1952. Jurassic Park meets the butterfly effect. I'm not enough of a literary historian to know the true origins of the butterfly effect, but I did look it up. Butterfly effect, basically the prettier name for chaos theory, is credited to a meteorology professor in the 1960s. Bradbury wrote this story in the early 1950s and is clearly a better candidate for introducing the butterfly effect. Number 3, Three Tales from Sky River, Myths for a Starfaring Age by Vanden Singh. This was published in 2004. This short story entails 3 fables from other planets. It's very short, and the first part about talking birds will absolutely grab you immediately. Number 2 is Bloodchild by Octavia E. Butler. This is the second Butler on the list, of course, published in 1984. This was the story that solidified Butler on my imaginary list of, if you could pick any 3 people to have dinner and conversation with. She was such a brilliant talent and had such a mind for imagination. This story is about 20 pages, and it's absolutely unputdownable the whole time. It is a very interesting story about humans and a somewhat symbiotic relationship with 9-foot-tall aliens. The number 1 short story on my list is The Last Question by Isaac Asimov. This was published in 1958. There were so many on this list that I wanted to put at number 1, but I just couldn't rank anything above The Last Question. This story is phenomenal. It's a story about entropy. Asimov takes us on a journey through time and space, traversing trillions of years. This is an absolute masterful story, and it's number 1 on my list. Thank you for watching today. Please remember to comment below. I want to hear your favorite science fiction short story. I want to hear your top 3, your top 10. I must have read several hundred science fiction short stories. These are my top 10, but I'd love to know what yours are because that'll just give me more things to read. This is Fit to Be Read. Please like, please subscribe, please click on the notification bell, and YouTube will let you know every Thursday at 1 o'clock when I release new content. Thank you.